Hey guys, it's Mark from Adventure Time Outdoors. I picked up a pretty cool piece of kit this week, trying to solve a problem I've been having with my canister stoves. The fuel keeps on freezing on me. It's really cold out here. We've had minus 20-degree weather last few weeks. And anyway, with the problem I've been having, I came up with some good tricks to keep the fuel warm enough to keep the pressure and have the flame and heat and everything work properly. But this time, the last time I went out, I used a hot paw. I shook it up, stuck it under the little indent on the canister, and it worked. But each time you're doing that, you're buying something to carry with you extra on top of your fuel. It started becoming a bit of a pain in the ass. So I ended up picking up, it's called a Vital stove. You have to, it runs on batteries, which is kind of something I'm iffy about, but all the reviews I've heard is that the batteries last forever. You get like 30 hours of use out of 2 AA batteries. So basically what you do is you don't have to bring any fuel with you. You just take your stove out. You just take your stove out and you collect some sticks and twigs and things around, and it burns pretty efficiently. So yesterday I brought it out and I did a test, a water boiling test, and I can show you that in a little bit later in the video. But first we'll do a close-up. We'll take a look at the unit itself, and we'll see what we got here. Alright, so here's the stove, all packed up. I've got a little pamphlet here to give us all the specs. The weight of the unit is 1.5 pounds. The length of the unit is 8 inches long. The width of the unit is 4.9 inches. Height when folded up is 1.8 inches. Height in use, when it's all set up and ready to go, it is 4.9 inches tall. The capacity, or the BTU, is 20,000 BTU, I guess full out. I first read that and I didn't believe it until I actually got it started full blast with some hardwood inside, and I have no way of testing if it's true, but I don't doubt it. The heat it can produce, I guess full out, is up to 1200 degrees. The maximum cooking surface, the minimum cooking surface is 2.5 inches. I'll show you that in a minute. The maximum load is up to 50 pounds, and the power supply is 2 AA batteries, and they say the battery longevity is in between 35 and 40 hours. So, inside the kit, on the bottom, the burn box attaches in there, slides in there pretty nicely, nice and tight. And inside here, I'll give you a look at the main components, the main parts. You could store your battery pack, and these are just some of the fire starters that actually came with the kit. Inside here you've got your blower for the fan, and there's your damper, and your battery pack clicks in right here in the end. So you just replace this, and then you just build your fire. Once you got your Vital stove set up, you basically just plug in your power supply and start building your fire, tinder, whatever you like to use. Same goes for a campfire, just on a smaller scale. Put that in there and you have your tinder ready to go. So you'll put your pot or whatever it is on top. It's lit. You'll just take your power supply, turn it to your first speed, and that'll start blowing the air through and basically feeding the fire. Now, my first concern is how am I going to control the heat on this thing? I thought it was going to be, basically, full blast heat, and you don't always want that per se. So I noticed that after reading the instructions, it does have a little damper on it where you can kind of adjust the amount of air that you have coming through into the unit, and that basically adjusts your heat. So I'm sure with a little bit of practice you'll be able to cook things slow, cook things fast. it'll work out quite nicely. One of the features that I like the best about this thing is that you've got these little arms you can swing in and out. The like they said in the stats, the minimum cooking surface is 2.5. So if you have a water bottle, you could easily place that on there. So and if you want to put on a larger size pot, you just have to swivel these out, and that'll hold quite a large pot quite easily after that. So you can cook a big stew for many people if you'd like. So I started that up with a piece of char cloth, a piece of fat wood, and a little bit of jute. And once I turned on the air, it was blowing in from the bottom and just lit it right up. So now I'm just going to stick some pieces of wood inside, and hopefully we'll get some coals going. Load it up nice, and then I'll just put the pot on and we'll see how long it takes to boil. I have a feeling we'll have to keep on adding tinder, but that shouldn't be a problem. But if you take a look here, I've got my low heat and high heat, high wind, and then I got a damper here that'll increase and decrease the air going in from the bottom. So but I think today when we're getting it ready to burn, we're going to put it on full blast and see what it does, just full power, and see what kind of time it takes. So I'll go get the water. Here we go. Full pot of water. It's actually very cold, but it's minus 20 outside here today, so here we go.
Please upgrade to the paid version of Ultragon.
There we go. Got the timer started. And now we'll turn it up full blast. Open up the damper. We'll see how long it takes. And most of it wasn't even really solid wood. It was all chips that I've had left over from carving. The price of it was about $60, but it seems that it's going to be efficient, and I think we got our boil. Yeah, you can hear the lid, guys. That's it. And what do we have here? 1.5 liters in 6 minutes and 30 seconds. And actually here you can see we've got some water shooting out the tip of the spout there. So that's a full boil in very little time. Well guys, that about wraps it up. I'm really impressed with this thing. Just had it outside again just to get a couple of extra shots with my camera. And I was able to light a fire in this thing in under 30 seconds. Or about 30 seconds anyway. I just took some jute twine, a couple of little shaved off pieces of fat wood, and a piece of char cloth, folded it up, gave it a couple blows, started to smoke. I just dropped it in there and I turned on the turned on the power supply full blast, and it lit on its own. I was able to throw some sticks in there, and then that was it. There was no little effort, we'll call it. One tip though I did read inside the manual. Once your fire is out, the casing of this whole thing gets pretty hot, and we all know that heat transfers really well inside of metal, and this whole thing is metal. So they do recommend to leave the power supply on for a minute or two, just to keep the heat from going into the motor, because there are some plastic components in the motor apparently, to keep that from damaging the motor and keeping the motor cool, because that's how it does cool itself. It pulls in air, shoots it out to your fire, but in the process it keeps the motor cool. So that's about the only tip I have. I'm looking forward to field testing this, so when I do, I'll shoot another video. Maybe we'll get some coffee going on this, maybe some lunch, and I guess that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the product and the video, and I hope hope you like, share, and subscribe. And I see you all soon. And get out and explore.